All right, today we are tackling a really big one, the global money puzzle. We're going to break down the single crucial rulebook that keeps the world's public finances from, well, falling into chaos. I mean, that's a huge question, right? Just stop and think about it for a second. Imagine trying to balance a checkbook, but for the entire planet. We're talking dozens of countries, all these different currencies serving millions, even billions of people. The scale is it's massive. So how on earth do they do it? And just so we're all on the same page, we're talking about really important organizations here. The World Health Organization, UNICEF, the World Food Program. These are groups that handle billions of dollars in public funds every single year. For them, getting the finances right isn't just a nice to have. It is absolutely, fundamentally essential. Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll set up the puzzle itself. Then we'll introduce the rule book that solves it. We're going to zoom in on one key part of that rule book, get into its core principles, and finally, and this is the big one, we'll talk about why any of this really matters. So let's dive in. What's the fundamental problem we're even trying to solve here? Well, really, it all comes down to one word: chaos, or at least the potential for total financial chaos. Think about it. If every single country, every public organization had its own completely unique way of doing its books, it would be a total mess. It'd be like everyone at a global meeting speaking a different language with no translators. You just couldn't compare apples to apples. You'd have no idea who's being efficient, who really needs more resources, or, frankly, if the money is even going where it's supposed to. And that is exactly where IPSAS comes into the picture. IPSAS stands for International Public Sector Accounting Standards. And this is the answer. It's the solution to all that potential chaos. You could almost think of it as the Rosetta Stone for global public finance. Yeah, IFSS gives everyone that common grammar for talking about money. It creates this one shared set of rules and definitions. So a financial report from an agency, say in Geneva, can be instantly understood and, more importantly, compared to one from a program all the way in Nairobi. Everyone's speaking the same language. And I really want to be clear here. We are not talking about some simple one-page guideline. No. IPSAS is a massive, incredibly detailed framework. It's designed to cover pretty much any financial situation you could possibly think of. I mean, just take a quick peek at the framework. You've got rules for the basics, like how to present financial statements. But then it gets into cash flow, accounting policies, how you handle revenue, even things like inventory in a warehouse, or big physical assets like buildings and equipment. And believe me, this is just scratching the surface. Oh yeah, it goes way deeper. The framework has specific rules for things you might not even think about, like how to report revenue from donations versus, say, selling something, how to present budget information, how you value intangible assets, things like intellectual property. It even covers employee benefits and mineral resources. It is incredibly thorough. Okay, I know. Seeing that huge list can feel a little overwhelming. I get it. So to make this all a bit more concrete, let's just zoom in and focus on one. We'll look at the very first standard, the one that really sets the stage for everything else, IPAS S1. So what's the whole point of this one? Well, IPAS 1 is basically the master blueprint. It lays out the fundamental structure, the absolute minimum requirements for any financial statement. Its whole job is to make sure that no matter what organization you're looking at, their reports have the same basic look and feel, so you can actually compare them. But here's the thing. IPSAS 1 isn't just a dry list of rules. It's actually built on a foundation of some really powerful ideas. And these are the core principles that make the entire system tick, the things that ensure the final reports are clear, reliable, and most of all, trustworthy. Okay, the first one, and you could argue it's the most important of all, is something called the accrual basis. Now, this is a game-changing idea. It means you record financial events when they actually happen, when the value is created or the service is delivered, not just weeks or months later when the cash finally changes hands. The perfect way to think about this is your credit card. When does the expense really happen? It happens the second you swipe that card at the store, right? Not a month later when you finally pay the bill. That's the real economic event. And that's exactly what accrual accounting is designed to capture. It's about reality. IPSAS also gives us these super clear, crystal clear definitions for the basic building blocks of finance. So assets are just the resources you control that are going to give you benefits later on. Things like cash, buildings, equipment. And liabilities are the things you owe, obligations you have to pay out in the future, like loans or unpaid bills. It's simple, it's clear, and it's universal. All right, now within this whole system, there are some things that are, well, they're non-negotiable. There's just no wiggle room. These aren't suggestions, they are absolute, mandatory requirements if you're going to claim you follow Ipsas. So here are a few of the big ones, the must-do rules. First, your financial statements must present a fair and accurate view. No games. Second, you must explicitly say, yes, we are complying with IPSAs. Third, you can't hide things. Assets and liabilities must not be offset against each other. Fourth, you must show last year's numbers so people can compare. And finally, any big, important category of items must be presented on its own. These rules right here, this is the bedrock of financial transparency.
Okay, so we've dug into the rules, the core principles, some of the nitty-gritty details. But now let's pull all the way back out. Let's ask the most important question of all. Why does any of this actually matter? What's the real-world impact?
You know, this quote, which comes straight out of the official IPSAS-1 document, really says it all. The whole point is to provide information that is useful in making and evaluating decisions about the allocation of resources. That's it. It's about giving people useful information so they can make smart decisions about where money should go and see if it's actually working. And that, right there, is the bottom line. It all comes down to transparency and trust. It's about accountability. See, when everybody is playing by the same high-quality rulebook, it just creates this level of clarity that builds trust in our most important global institutions. It lets all of us, you and me, actually see how public money is being managed. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. By creating this common financial language, we're not just balancing some books on a spreadsheet, we're building the foundation for better decisions, for greater cooperation, and for a more accountable world. And it really makes you wonder, right? When everyone can speak the same financial language, what can't we achieve?